I've worked a lot of hard jobs. I've done overnight security, I've worked in a hospital laundry facility at 3 in the morning, I've stocked shelves in a warehouse at Christmas. None of those jobs ever made me walk off mid-shift. I have never, in my entire working life, abandoned a job without notice and driven away. Except once. And I have thought every single day since about whether I made the right call. I believe that I did. I believe that with everything I have. This happened in 2021. I was 41. And I just moved back to my home state of Arkansas after a divorce left me needing to reset my life. I was staying with my older sister in a small town outside of Little Rock while I figured out my next steps. I needed work, and a truck stop 20 minutes down the highway was hiring overnight staff. It was a mid-sized stop. Nothing remarkable about it physically. Store, showers, fuel lanes, a restaurant that closed at 10. The owner was a man named Carl who had owned the stop for almost 20 years. He was a decent employer. Straight with you about expectations. Paid on time. Didn't micromanage. I was 6 weeks into the job when this happened. I'd gotten comfortable with the routine and the regulars. Friday nights were busier than most. This was a Friday in October. The shift had started normally. Restaurant closed at 10. By midnight, the lot was settled. Maybe 40 trucks, all parked for the night, engines idling. I had the counter, the cameras, and the quiet. At around 11:45, a man came in. He was unremarkable in every physical way. Medium height, medium build, late 30s or early 40s. Brown hair, plain clothing, dark jeans, a gray long-sleeve shirt. He had no distinguishing features that I could pick out. He was the kind of person you'd forget immediately after seeing. He came to the counter and bought a water and a pack of crackers. Paid cash. While I was making change, he looked at me. "Quiet night," he said. "Mostly," I said. "You alone in here?" I paused before answering. It was an odd question. Not impossible. Customers asked about staffing sometimes if they needed help with something. But the specific phrasing, "you alone in here," at midnight, delivered with no follow-up context, gave me a small, cold feeling. "We've got staff around," I said. Which was technically true. There was a lot attendant, but vague enough to be non-committal. He nodded. He looked around the store in a slow, surveying way. Not browsing. Assessing. The exits, the counter, the back of the store. Then he walked to the seating area and sat down. He didn't eat the crackers. Didn't drink the water. He sat and looked at his phone. I watched him. There was nothing specific I could point to. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was a customer sitting in the seating area with a purchase. Perfectly within his rights. But the way he looked around the store. The question about whether I was alone. And now just sitting there, not eating, not drinking, watching his phone while his eyes moved around the room every 30 seconds or so. I called my lot attendant on the radio. His name was Jerome. He was 24, strong, and reliably calm. "Jerome, can you come inside for a bit? I've got some boxes need moving." Jerome knew we didn't have boxes to move at midnight. But he'd worked there long enough to know what it meant when I asked him to come in. "Be there in 5, he said. While I waited for Jerome, I looked at the camera feeds. I checked the lot. The usual rows of trucks, amber lights, idling engines. But on the camera that covered the east side of the lot, I saw 2 vehicles that I didn't recognize. Not trucks. Passenger vehicles. A dark SUV and a light-colored pickup. Parked at the edge of the lot, away from the trucks, in an unlit area that the camera barely reached. Both vehicles were dark inside. No lights on, no visible occupants. They could have been travelers sleeping in their vehicles. That happened. But they were parked specifically in the darkest part of the lot. Specifically in the area the camera barely covered. And they'd arrived sometime in the last hour. I hadn't noticed them before. Jerome came in. I gave him the brief, quiet version. The man at the table, the vehicles in the lot, while pretending to discuss store business. Jerome glanced over at the man. Then he looked at the camera monitor. "How long have those been there?" he said. "Not sure," I said. "Less than an hour." Jerome looked at the man at the table again. The man was looking at his phone. He hadn't looked up when Jerome came in, but something in his posture had changed. A slight shift. Like he'd registered Jerome's arrival. "I'm going to check those vehicles," Jerome said. Be careful, I said. I watched camera 5 as Jerome walked across the lot. He reached the edge of the lit area and stopped before entering the dark section. He shined his flashlight toward the two vehicles. He stood there for about 30 seconds. Then he walked back. When he came inside, his face told me everything I needed to know before he said a word. There are people in both of those vehicles, he said. Just sitting. Lights off. They didn't react to the flashlight. Just sat there. How many? At least 3 in the SUV. I couldn't see clearly into the pickup. I looked at the man at the table. He was looking at his phone. I thought about the question he'd asked. You alone in here? I thought about 3 or more people sitting in dark vehicles at the edge of the lot. I thought about how, if you wanted to know whether a location was worth approaching, you might send someone in first to check the staffing. Jerome, I said quietly, call the sheriff. Jerome picked up the desk phone. The man at the table looked up. He looked at Jerome on the phone. He looked at me. He picked up his water and his crackers and stood up. He walked to the door and went outside. I watched camera 1, the exterior front, as he walked across the parking lot toward the east side, toward the dark vehicles. Jerome was on the phone with the sheriff's dispatcher. I was watching the cameras. The man reached the dark SUV. The passenger door opened. He got in. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the SUV's engine started. The pickup's engines started simultaneously, and they left. Both vehicles together, exiting the lot from the east side and pulling onto the highway heading north. Gone. By the time Jerome finished with the dispatcher, they were gone. The deputy arrived 15 minutes later. I told him everything. He took a report. He noted the direction of travel and said he'd have patrol keep an eye out. He said it was possible it was nothing. People sleeping rough, people passing through. He said it in the tone of someone who wasn't fully convinced by their own explanation. Jerome and I talked after the deputy left. We talked about what it looked like, what it might have been, what the man at the table might have been doing in there, what he'd reported back to whoever was in those vehicles. We came to a conclusion that we didn't say out loud, but that we both clearly reached at the same time. That the man had come in to check the situation. That he'd asked whether I was alone to determine whether the stop was understaffed and vulnerable. That Jerome coming inside had changed whatever calculation was being made in those dark vehicles. That if Jerome had stayed in the lot and the man at the table had reported that there was one person behind the counter alone, something else might have happened that night. I worked 3 more shifts after that. Each one, I was watchful in a way I hadn't been before. Each one, I looked at the lot cameras every few minutes. Each one, I kept Jerome close. On my 4th shift after that night, I arrived at 10 p.m., looked at the lot as I pulled in, and saw a dark SUV parked in the same spot at the edge of the lot. Same make, or close enough that I couldn't tell the difference. I sat in my car and looked at it for 2 minutes. Then I called Carl. I told him I was sorry. I told him I wasn't going to be able to work there anymore. I told him I'd explain if I could, but that I couldn't, and that I was sorry. He told me to at least come in and hand over my key. I told him I'd mail it. I drove home. The SUV may have been nothing. A coincidence. A different vehicle that just happened to look similar. Maybe I'd reached a level of vigilance that had tipped into something less useful. Maybe. But I think about that man at the table. I think about Jerome on the phone and the moment the man looked up. I think about how quickly those vehicles left when they understood that someone was making a call. Predators leave when the conditions aren't right. That's what they do. They find a different location, a different night, a different target. And somewhere else, on some other night, the conditions might have been right. I hope whoever was working that other stop had a Jerome. I hope they made the call.